The snow leopard family waited for tens of thousands of years, and finally, a perfect heir appeared. But she chose to marry into the rival black leopard family. While giving birth to a child with great difficulty, she also lost her own life. The old man couldn't let it go, but he had to clean up the mess left by his daughter. Although the girl grew up safely, she showed no trace of the snow leopard family's abilities. The head of the family's patience finally reached its limit. He roughly ordered the servants to lock his granddaughter in the attic. From then on, the girl began to suffer inhumane treatment. In the attic, a scene of a leopard competing with mice for food even played out. One day, the head of the family suddenly burst into the attic, found an excuse, and began to beat and scold the girl. He then dragged her all the way to the balcony and threw her heavily onto the ground. He gave her no chance at all. Deer's hands were frozen and aching, and the surrounding snow continued to pile up. But for now, she could do nothing but shiver. Soon, the door inside the house opened again. The heir of the current family head, Cornelia, walked in. She was Deer's aunt. Hearing the girl's heart-wrenching cries for help, she also chose to do nothing. Today was the day to buy clothes for her daughter, Rowan. She couldn't let anything spoil the mood. Rowan was Deer's cousin. The only difference between the two was those blue eyes, representing the symbol of the snow leopard family. If her own eyes were also blue, perhaps she would also be treated with kindness. Thinking of this, tears couldn't help but stream down her cheeks. She kept pleading with her aunt to let her in, but her aunt had no mercy at all, claiming that whether she was a snow leopard or a black leopard, she wouldn't freeze to death in this weather. She then turned and left. After an unknown amount of time, the heavy snow covered Deer's entire body, and her consciousness began to blur. The sounds of Rowan and her grandfather's laughter kept flashing in her mind. When Deer opened her eyes again, she appeared in the attic. It seemed someone had rescued her. But looking at the wound on her hand, she fell into deep thought. This was a wound caused by Rowan pushing her down the stairs a month ago. This time, she decided not to wait for death. To escape the fate of freezing to death, she looked at her golden eyes in the mirror. A plan formed in her mind. Perhaps she could take a gamble with the black leopard family. Now was the best time to escape. Her cousin Rowan was currently competing with girls of the same age for the position of crown princess candidate. The family was busy making arrangements, and no one had the leisure to pay attention to her. She took her last bit of food and began the first step of her plan. But it was almost ruined by Mouse. To assert her dominance, she transformed back into her snow leopard form, scaring the mouse into fleeing overnight. Then she crawled under the blanket and began to wait for nightfall. Her distressed state made her thoughts wander. What if her father disliked her as much as her grandfather did? What would she do then? After all, her mother died giving birth to her. By then, she would truly have nowhere to go. Even being reborn several times wouldn't help. Soon, night arrived. The little snow leopard began her move. Determined, she decided to first go to her maternal grandfather's room to take some valuables so the coachman could take her to her father's territory. She went to the family head's office and began rummaging through the drawers. While finding money, she also discovered a black leopard family pendant. On the back was a photo of her mother. Deer took it along. The plan was successful, but she forgot about the patrolling nanny. The nanny thought it was Miss Rowan coming out, but upon closer look, it was actually Deer. Being sneaky, she clearly wasn't up to anything good. She called for the surrounding knights to capture her. Deer had no way to retreat, so she ran into the room opposite, not knowing that it was the guest room for distinguished visitors from the palace. To avoid a panic, the others had to go back and report to the family head. This was Deer's first time here. The pitch-black environment filled her heart with fear. Soon, a figure appeared behind her and pinned her down. "Who are you? What are you doing in my room?" Seeing Deer trembling and unable to speak, the boy's mind raced. Ragged clothes, golden eyes. She shouldn't be Rowan. But the white hair was definitely a symbol of the snow leopards. "Don't cry. If you don't speak, get out immediately." Deer panicked. She claimed she was a snow leopard and prepared to flee. Before the prince could ask further, there was a knock at the door. He ordered Deer to follow him to the bedroom and hide under the bed. Deer quickly grabbed this lifeline and scrambled inside with all her might. Then the adjutant walked in, claiming that a maid from the snow leopard family had gone mad, and someone saw her run in. White hair, a maid? Indeed, something was fishy. The prince claimed he would let them in to search, but no one was allowed to step into his room. He was on a secret visit, and he didn't expect to run into this kind of trouble. After the adjutant left, the prince called Deer out. To answer the doubts in his heart, Deer told the boy about her background and revealed her entire plan. Learning that Deer's father was a black leopard, The boy was greatly surprised. "The money you have isn't enough to get there. I'll take you." Deer was overjoyed and quickly agreed. The prince casually summoned a magic orb and ordered Deer to get inside. This way, she wouldn't be discovered. The environment inside was very messy. Deer looked around carefully. Just by touching a doll, she was scared out of her wits. However, the doll she touched disappeared like sand. Next, she touched a glowing pillow in front of her, and it didn't disappear. Great, now she had a place to rest. The child of a snow leopard and a black leopard was a girl who stumbled along with no divine power. She was imprisoned in the attic by her grandfather, so she planned to escape, but accidentally ran into the crown prince on a secret visit. Hearing her story, the boy decided to take her to the black leopard territory. The next day, the prince's personal adjutant exchanged some formalities with the snow leopard family head and prepared to leave. This made the grandfather very unhappy. He had spent over a month preparing for this crown princess election. His pride and joy, Rowan, hadn't even made her appearance before the guests from the palace were in a hurry to leave. It must be related to Deer's escape last night. What gave him even more of a headache was Rowan barging in impatiently. She joyfully asked everyone if she could go to the capital now. The adjutant's attitude was clear. Rowan had been rejected, but she still looked innocent, relentlessly asking the adjutant when he would return to take her to the capital. The man ignored her, said farewell, and turned to leave. Although the family head was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. He put on a smile and saw them off until the last moment. Before leaving, he even sensed something about the crown prince. The sound of the door closing echoed through the manor. "These guys are really too much," the crown prince complained impatiently. If it weren't for his power being too strong for his body to handle, he wouldn't be in such a hurry for a partner to share the burden. This also played right into the hands of those greedy nobles. At this moment, the crown prince suddenly remembered something. The little snow leopard was still in the space he created. He gently took Deer out. This move startled the adjutant. Before he could regain his senses, the crown prince declared they were going to the black leopard territory to deliver this little one. Look at her eyes. She is a snow leopard with the golden eyes of a black leopard. This reminded the adjutant of Rena and Cassius, who formed a family despite their family's opposition. It was said they had twin children. The lady mysteriously disappeared during her third pregnancy. Cassius had no choice but to hold a funeral without Rena's body. This was truly bombshell news. Soon, they arrived at the black leopard territory. "We want to see the family head. Tell him his daughter has been found." The butler immediately led them inside upon hearing this. The luxurious decor left Deer in a daze. This place was almost twice as big as the snow leopard family home. It was her first time wearing a formal dress in such a place. If not for Ian's company, she really wouldn't have felt comfortable. They arrived at the reception room. Deer was so stiff she didn't dare to sit. But he had no choice. Ian had to step in. With the arrival of delicious food, Deer's stomach began to growl. Yet she didn't dare to touch it. "This is prepared for you, right?" Happiness came too suddenly. Deer let out a sound of surprise. Suddenly, the door opened. Leading the way was the head of the black leopard family, her father. Deer became lost and unsure what to do. The man looked like the type not to be trifled with. She had thought of her opening lines countless times, but at this moment, she couldn't say a word. Cassius spoke first. "Are you Deer?" She quickly took over the conversation, fearing she would lose her nerve. She took out the pendant, stating that her mother was Rena. "Please, let me live here. I eat very little. It doesn't matter where I sleep." This humble request caught the man off guard and struck his heart. He wondered what those people had done to this child. He then prepared to reach out and touch Deer's head. But Deer nervously shrank back. The man tried his best to restrain his emotions, ordering the maids to take the child down to rest well. He had something to say to the guests. Being sent away so abruptly, Deer felt terrible. She didn't have many coins left. She didn't know how to proceed. Perhaps she could only sell this expensive dress, even though it was a gift from Ian. But there was no other way. The maid who arrived late saw Deer crying silently and hurried over to comfort her. "Eat something first. The master will be over in a moment." Hearing this, Deer wiped away her tears. She didn't know when she'd get to eat such warm food again after today. She had to finish it all. On the other side, Cassius learned about his daughter's circumstances, covered in scars at such a young age, and called a mentally ill maid by the snow leopards. He seemed to have a clue about the snow leopards' motives. The position of leader is held by the more powerful side. Since the snow leopards had held it for several generations, their power had declined. They were now merely maintaining the facade of a duke. Rena's birth broke this status quo. Her powerful abilities could have made her the new heir, but she chose to marry him. The current heir's abilities were not outstanding, so they chose to hide Deer away, hoping for another Rena to appear. Lord Cassius, it's bad. The young lady brought by the guest has fainted. The man panicked and hurried to the dining room where Deer was. At this time, Deer was mumbling to herself while lying on the maid. Her face looked terrible. Carry her to bed. Change her into comfortable clothes. Call several doctors immediately. Fortunately, it wasn't serious. It was just simple malnutrition, combined with sudden overeating. Her stomach just couldn't handle it. He should have told her sooner that she could stay here forever. It was all her father's fault. Then Cassius cut a strand of the girl's hair. Only with a paternity test could he register her. His own strand was at the temple. He always believed this day would come. The matter was settled for now. The crown prince also had to return to the palace. Regrettably, he couldn't say a proper goodbye to Deer. Soon, Deer's paternal grandfather arrived upon hearing the news. He was eager to see his granddaughter. The father kindly reminded him, "The child is still resting. You can only take a peek." But even that one look satisfied the grandfather. Soon, the Duke gently closed the door. He left quietly. In her dream, Deer was constantly running. Countless black hands behind her wanted to kill her. She woke up with a start and found herself lying on a soft bed. She subconsciously ran out and heard her father talking to a strange man outside the door. "I'm going to kill that guy." These sharp words startled Deer. As expected, this family couldn't tolerate her either. Late at night, Deer transformed into a little snow leopard and made her move again. Determined, this time she decided to run without stealing anything. But as soon as she left, she was brought back by her father. She curled into a ball, trembling, and kept begging the man not to kill her. It was this fear that triggered the magic hidden within her body. Golden light burst forth, and before long, Deer fainted. When she opened her eyes again, her father was already by her side. She remembered that before she fainted, her father had been saying some warm words, but she was too scared to hear them clearly. It wasn't until the personal doctor appeared that Deer understood her status in her father's heart. It had risen by more than just one level. He claimed Deer's golden black leopard eyes were her ticket to do whatever she wanted in these villas. "Let's start by filling your stomach then." Then, at his command, the maids brought delicious desserts and began to feed her. The sense of happiness almost made Deer turn back into a snow leopard. Learning that the gentle maid before her was her future exclusive attendant, Deer felt a surge of security. On the other side, the Duke, who couldn't see his granddaughter, paced back and forth in the living room anxiously. Cassius got straight to the point, saying his daughter had awakened her ability last night. It was neither the snow leopard's ice attribute nor the black leopard's fire, but the sacred power of light. This left the old man wide-eyed. A child blessed by God? Interesting. This kind of ability was often just a legend. There were no clear records in the Imperial archives. Furthermore, in the leopard tribe, there was a secret only the family head knew. The power of light could dispel curses. Currently, times were turbulent. If the temple or the Imperial family found out, Deer's newly found peaceful life would become displaced again. This was not what Cassius wanted to see. He only wanted his daughter to grow up happily. A few days passed, and Deer hadn't fully adapted to life here yet. She sat stiffly on the very edge of the sofa until her overbearing father gently moved her to the center. Deer's vigilance then faded away. Her father mentioned the ability that emerged a few days ago and revealed all the secrets. In just a few days, she went from being trash to the most precious existence in the Empire. "Father, but then what can I do for the family?" This sudden maturity left the man startled. He didn't need his daughter to do anything against her will. This was completely different from her maternal grandfather's philosophy. Even though she had power, her father just wanted her to eat, drink, and have fun every day. She could certainly do that. On the other side, her maternal grandfather was still losing his temper for not finding Deer. Escaping in this weather leads only to death. She's just like her mother, unable to stay put. Keep searching, kill her, and bring her back when you find her. The next day, Deer saw the room her father had meticulously designed for her. It was several times larger than Rowan's room. It even came with a dedicated butler. Additionally, the Duke had prepared many gifts for her. Speaking of the Duke, Deer could only think of the old man's voice she heard at the door, who seemed to say he wanted to kill someone. Up until now, Deer still thought the Duke disliked her, let alone wanted to see her. Learning that her grandfather was busy with work lately and would be back in a few days, Deer felt immense pressure. Soon, the two had their first formal meeting. I heard you thought I hated you. I'm here today to clear up that misunderstanding. Although he spoke very gently, Deer still kept her head down. She was born with a fear of the title grandfather. After all, in her previous life, her maternal grandfather let her freeze to death on the balcony. Not long ago, she even overheard her grandfather seemingly wanting to kill her. It seemed the misunderstanding was deep. The old man was completely bewildered. He began to explain in every way possible, almost on the verge of kneeling, and quickly explained that those words were meant for her maternal grandfather. He was the one he wanted to kill. It's all that guy Cassius's fault, saying the child is shy and wouldn't let me see her. Seeing her grandfather's clumsy explanation, Deer burst into laughter. Thank you, grandfather, for providing such a large room for me. This made the old man's heart melt. Her cuteness was something his other two grandchildren could never provide. He quickly pulled out the 100 exquisite gifts he had prepared. Deer especially liked one black leopard doll and held it lovingly. Just like your brothers, you like this one so much. Deer looked confused. It seems no one told you that you also have two brothers. Hearing news of you, they're rushing back from the academy without stopping. Is this a good thing? Deer's worry resurfaced. Will they blame me for mother's death? All answers would have to wait until they returned. To keep her grandfather from worrying, she acted cute towards him. Late at night, the father and son talked about the child's past. They prepared to deal with the snow leopards who gave the child such a dark childhood. Soon, the maternal grandfather suffered a blow. Trade routes were cut off and supplies couldn't get in. Now, he could only place his hopes on maritime trade. Just why is this happening? A subordinate brought a letter. The child was with the black leopard family. The old man suddenly realized it must have been the carriage from the palace earlier that secretly sent Deer away. Damnable brat. What kind of benefits did she offer to get everyone to help her? Immediately, he ordered that the nanny from that day and all the knights involved in the capture be severely punished. Now, Rowan couldn't sit still. After all, that was his own nanny. He wouldn't allow this, but the old man had already lost his mind. For the first time, he lost his temper with Rowan. Rowan left without looking back. The retribution was only just beginning. To compete for the little snow leopard's love, the two brothers, who had never met before, stood on a united front. Defeating the arrogant crown prince became their primary goal. Not long ago, Till was practicing magic desperately in her room. She failed to prove she had a place in the Black Panther family. But unfortunately, time was too tight. Before long, she was taken to the dining room. All the family members were finally gathered together today. Purdy showed off his charm, elegantly introducing his name. The girl responded that her name was Till and she was 7 years old. Truly so small. Rudian rudely interrupted their conversation. Till felt a sense of pressure the moment they met. But then again, the appearance of the two didn't inherit any of their mother's traits at all. Rudian continued to criticize Till's white hair, and cyan eyes. Should I call you a leopard? As soon as he finished, Cather stood up. You have no courage for such nonsense. Purdy followed suit. Don't be so frivolous. Hurry up and eat. Then he smilingly told Till that he was very happy to have such a cute younger sister. This finally gave the girl's racing heart a bit of comfort. It seemed that in this first meeting, that the only one hurt was Rudian. Didn't you say you hated sisters? That's right, but that's only limited to sisters as troublesome as you. Although Rudian's every word seemed directed at Till, in his heart, he didn't think that way at all. He felt everything was just too coincidental. He also didn't believe Till could possess any light ability to cure his mania. Everyone was just being fooled by her harmless appearance. What he had to do was quickly unveil her mask. This white outside, black inside attribute was truly dramatic. The next day, Till found the two brothers constantly tracking her. No matter where she went, they followed her inseparably. Even though the maid said the young masters were following the family head's orders not to approach her directly for now. Ever since that meal in the dining room, Purdy's gentle gaze had vanished. Every meeting felt like an inspection. At this time, a maid came to report. The crown prince had arrived. Hearing this, the two peeping in the flower bushes. Why is it that none of you can get close to our sister, but this guy can see her whenever he wants? Even being a savior didn't count. A man's damn competitive nature was fully displayed at this moment. As soon as he finished speaking, the crown prince walked in with a swaggering gait. The three immediately started a war of words. I brought back your precious sister. Is this how the Black Panther family repays me? Purdy wanted to continue arguing, but logic told him there seemed to be no need. It hadn't been confirmed yet that she was his sister. Left with no choice, Till had to step out herself. She requested her brothers to just spare a little time. Then, one brother said no, while the other said yes, pushing the crown prince to the edge of an outburst. At this moment, the girl took Purdy's hand. "Brother, can you come with me?" Faced with this cute offensive, Purdy's attitude changed instantly. He immediately agreed. "Rudian, you shouldn't go. You have things to do." "What things could I have? Aren't there many assignments from the academy?" "You cunning fellow." Purdy smiled on the surface, but in the name of supervision, he was actually keeping watch. It wasn't at all like being captivated like others. Then, several people moved to the hall. The crown prince asked about Till's recent situation and then snapped his fingers. He showed off a bit of his superpower. However, some were happy while others were worried. Purdy made a few sarcastic remarks from the side. Nothing new. The brothers can afford this level of gift too. Till knew if she didn't do something, thought the two would start bickering again. She stepped forward and picked a relatively cheap gift. "This one will do. Do you not like the gifts I gave? If not, then take them all. Your brothers can also buy them for you. And as soon as it's announced that you are the daughter of the Black Panther family, there will be an endless stream of people coming to flatter us. Jewelry and dresses will be countless." This bottomless mockery that made the crown prince start to get annoyed. He pulled Till to his side and announced he wanted her to go to the imperial palace. "Do you want to kidnap the youngest of the Black Panther family? The paternity test isn't out yet, so it doesn't count." Purdy completely panicked. He hurriedly reclaimed his sister's usage rights, saying she wasn't allowed to accept such requests from others, not unless they were from the Black Panther family. "Really, no need to be so nervous." He then turned and left, realizing the guest might really be angry. Till hurried to catch up and maintain the relationship. After all, without the prince, she wouldn't have her current wonderful life. "Don't worry, I'll come again. Next time I'll bring even better gifts." A killing blow, Purdy suffered a crushing defeat. He then told the late-arriving Rudian that he would definitely defeat the crown prince. "Just you wait." The Black Panther family were all gifted beings. But once mania broke out, the only one who could heal them was the little snow leopard they once overlooked. Speaking of which, the paternity test had been sent for a long time, but there had been no feedback. Everyone guessed the snow leopard family must be behind it, interfering with the temple's testing. Thinking that Till might have to return to the snow leopard territory and continue to be abused made the old man extremely anxious. He decided to personally urge the temple. He wanted the world to know he had a little granddaughter. Soon there would be mountains of gifts and endless afternoon teas. Hearing this, Till felt deeply concerned. She had no experience in social matters. Cather saw the subtle change on his daughter's face and told her not to worry. If she didn't want to, thought they could keep it private. That way, she wouldn't have to meet strangers. After eating their fill, Rudian immediately went to his sister's room. Since getting the command that he was allowed to approach, he enthusiastically invited Till to ride on his shoulders for a few laps around the villa. But he met with the late-arriving Purdy's disdain, compared to Rudian's reward. That his fairy tales were easier to capture his sister's heart. After all, before this, she could only hide outside the door and eavesdrop on the nanny telling Rowan fairy tales. So after coming here, she especially cherished this kind of beauty. Rudian muttered softly, "Damned fellow. He's clearly still on guard against our sister, yet he pretends to be so close." Purdy ignored his mutterings and began to tell the story of a lion walking into a magical forest. Rudian interrupted him without hesitation. "It's more interesting to see such things with your own eyes." With that, he turned and used flames to create a lion, which caused Purdy strong dissatisfaction. "What are you doing in the room?" Till will be scared. But on the contrary, Till had a look of admiration and claimed she also wanted to use her ability just like her brother. As soon as she said this, the two began to scratch their heads. This ability was naturally released. So why couldn't Till? Purdy decided to take her to the training ground, just to answer the doubts in his heart and witness the so-called light ability. He guided Till to keep imagining in her mind, and the ability would manifest. But at this moment, it didn't look like he was demonstrating at all. The flames on his body had reached a point enough to destroy the place. Enough, Purdy stopped. The situation was spiraling out of control. Even he couldn't control it anymore. At this moment, the Black Panther family's generational mania curse also emerged. Rudian tried to break through, but his own ability was completely suppressed by the rampaging flames. In the face of mania, his ability was so insignificant. "Jump in. Only your ability can heal him." The voice in her heart kept guiding the little snow leopard. Till didn't care if it was true or false, if there was even a glimmer of hope, that she would try to save Purdy, although he was guarded against her. that she also believed her brother was a good person. The path of the flames was soon shifted by Till's movement. She opened her arms to embrace her brother. "Please, appear just like before." A dazzling spirit rang through the sky, instantly evaporating the flames. The dissipation of the power caused Till to gradually lose consciousness. She went limp in her brother's arms. Afterwards, the two explained to their father what happened that night. Purdy also had a different discovery. His sister's appearance would make him, while in a state of rampage, desire power even more. And because of this, he almost destroyed Till. Now, whether she was his sister or not didn't matter anymore. The ability to heal mania was enough for him to let down his guard. "I understand. We'll talk when my sister wakes up. I knew I should have held back at the training ground. It's impossible for the Imperial family not to see light of this magnitude. Since the legend, that is true, he had to speed up the paternity test. That report was the best way to protect Till." The next day, Till woke up. Her first concern was Purdy's body. Learning he was fine and had been by her side all night, Till was incredibly surprised. Then she changed into formal wear and quietly came to her brother's room. Seeing his sister safe and sound, Purdy didn't care about Rudian's verbal attacks. He stepped forward and hugged Till tightly. "Thank you. I'll never do this again." At this time, the father also came. He wanted to take his daughter somewhere. On the way, he gently reproached his daughter for being too reckless. If the light ability hadn't appeared, that she would have died, but he was still very grateful that Till didn't hesitate to save Purdy. His intention wasn't to criticize, but rather out of worry. No matter what, she had to cherish her own life. "Thank you, Papa. I understand." The two arrived at the grandfather's room. Seeing his little granddaughter's body was unharmed, that he was very happy. Then he carried her to the front of the bookshelf. He ordered her to press the red book, and a secret room opened. It seemed there was no need for a paternity test. This was a secret room that only those with the family bloodline could open. Inside was a room prepared by the old grandfather for those who awaken light abilities. Under her grandfather's guidance, Till stood on top. Golden runes suddenly appeared in the room. The general meaning was that light could balance darkness if perfect suppression was achieved, that the Black Panther family's generational curse could be lifted, simultaneously unlocking the sealed power within the Black Panthers. Through what happened yesterday, the young Till also roughly understood. Now she was the only hope of the village. Leaving the secret room, that they received letters from the Imperial family and the temple regarding the light in the sky last night. Using the paternity test as an excuse, they invited the Black Panther family to attend and collect it. Little did they know, it was the pillow the little snow leopard had slept on, ever since the prejudice in his heart was removed. Purdy's relationship with his sister had warmed up rapidly. "Is it good? I'll get you some more." The maid kindly reminded him that this was a pre-meal dessert and everyone could only have one piece. Hearing this, Rudian directly placed his own portion in front of his sister. Till wasn't a selfish girl. She picked up a fork, cut a piece, and sensibly fed it to Rudian. Then she turned and gave Purdy a piece. Only after distributing the loot evenly did she begin to enjoy her own portion. Seeing the three children getting along so harmoniously, the old father's eyes filled with tears. He didn't know how long he had been looking forward to this day. Then he told Till to rest well. Tomorrow they would go to the temple for the paternity test report. Before, Till would definitely have been somewhat worried. But since using her bloodline to open the secret room door, that she finally didn't have to worry about the snow leopard family twisting the facts. The two young ones also strongly requested to go along. Clearly, they had made protecting their sister their top priority in life. The next day, as it was the young lady's first time going out, the maids started fighting over which hairstyle to choose. In the end, they chose an updo. After all, they were going to the solemn temple. Before, in the snow leopard family, people always said she was smelly and ugly. Now, calling her a little angel wouldn't be an exaggeration. The maids were completely mesmerized. Till went outside and found her two brothers had already been waiting there for a long time. The handsome boys and the girl started complimenting each other. "Stop it, let's go. Father is waiting for us." Upon arriving at the temple, Cathers picked up his daughter. From now on, no matter what methods the temple used, but he wouldn't let his daughter leave his side for a second. Then, several people continued deeper into the temple. They were greeted by High Priest Andres. He went straight to the point, suggesting a retest on site, thought to ensure the authenticity of the result. But was that really it? Hair from both was thrown in. But the holy water didn't turn blue. He announced they had no blood relation. Till saw through their scheme at a glance. They just wanted to use this fake result to shake the child's thoughts. Plus, the temple had an unwritten rule. Children with nowhere to go would be taken in by the temple. At the critical moment, Till spoke up. Strange. You say I'm not Lord Cather's child? That seems impossible. The high priest didn't expect a 7-year-old child to make such a statement. From the moment she spoke, she didn't agree with this plan. How could the Black Panther family not see through such a small trick? Till plucked a few of her own hairs on the spot and turned to look at her father. Cathers. Dot also plucked his own hair in understanding. Then, ignoring everyone's objections, Dot he threw it into the holy water. But at this time, the high priest looked relaxed instead. After all, holy water needs the injection of holy power to be effective. However, what he didn't expect was that the throne, that hair, caused the entire pool of water to glow with golden light. This wasn't even a paternity test, that it was practically a resonance with the temple. The stubborn high priest still began to quibble. Without being tested by my identity as the Pope's proxy, the results don't count. To put another way, it still has to be blue. Pope's proxy, is it? Before I was crown prince, I was also given the status of Pope's proxy by the Pope. Let me test it once. The crown prince stepped forward and repeated the previous steps. The holy water turned blue again, in front of everyone. That the high priest was speechless. Thank you, your highness. I will repay you when I grow up. How will you repay me? This heart-pounding. That scene caused Rudian's strong dissatisfaction, and even his father's. The high priest immediately stated it was all a misunderstanding. Cathers ignored him, turned, and left with Till. Back to her home in more than just name. In the carriage, the crown prince spoke with emotion. Till had changed so quickly during this time. From a child who only knew how to cry, to this brave appearance now. She was so cute. This reminded him of the past. Possessing a void space, he was considered an extremely dangerous person by his grandfather, who prepared to kill him, but he was shielded by his parents. In this way, he became the only person with the imperial bloodline and naturally survived. But surviving also came with conditions. His grandfather forced him to immediately establish a crown princess, sacrificing them to weaken the crown prince's power. To this day, his way of relieving pressure, was only to enter the void space and vent alone. It was pitch black here, but there was a single pink pillow. There shouldn't be such a thing in his memory. He leaned in and sniffed it. The scent of the little snow leopard remained on it. You brought it, right, Till? The first time the little snow leopard spoke at home, it drew the intense attention of the whole family. However, the Black Panther family was too enthusiastic until almost collapsed, since the paternity test became a hot topic. The focus of the entire city was on Till. Naturally, she also received a large number of invitations from nobles. If you don't want to go, just leave it to your brothers to handle. Cathers, meanwhile, began planning for his daughter's debut. After all, she still had to participate in official activities. Just were what you had before. Rudian was the first to jump out, an object. Dresses are determined by growth measurements. And they must be this year's popular styles. The point of this was that the styles sent by the crown prince were many. That's so they could be thrown away. It seemed they had to contact Olivia as soon as possible. After all, she was a girl of the same age. She was a girl in the family the same age as Till. This reminded Till of Rowan, so she was inevitably a bit worried. Don't be afraid, I'll go with you. Rudian shouldn't go. His taste is bad. Additionally, the father told his daughter that the crown prince's birthday banquet was canceled this year. This was a major event. In the past, when members of the snow leopard family attended the birthday banquet, they basically had to start custom ordering dresses a month in advance. Sudden cancellation meant something big had happened. At this time, Rudian took the opportunity to ask when Till's birthday was, but it left the whole family stunned. Have some common sense. Till's birthday was the anniversary of her mother's death. Actually, Till didn't know when her birthday was either. But guessed it should be in winter. Every time that time came, her maternal grandfather always had a very bad mood. It's not your fault. If Mama knew that after she left, your maternal grandfather treated you like this, she would tear him in two, of course including me. I've only come to save you now, so be happy. Soon, the crown prince arrived at the house. Till stepped forward with small steps to greet him. I'll give you a tour today. This is my home now. Her confident, radiant look made the crown prince reflect that she was truly different from before. Then Till leaned into the crown prince's ear and whispered, "By the way, your highness, why did you cancel the birthday banquet? Are you worried about me?" Canceling the birthday banquet was planned in advance. Till didn't speak, but silently invited the crown prince. "Would you grace us with your presence and hold your birthday banquet at my home? What do you think?" "No, Absolutely not. We don't agree. Your disagreement is invalid. I want to celebrate my birthday here. Why do you have to get involved? I was invited. Seeing the situation getting tense, Tyr began to recount her past to mediate the conflict. Upon learning that Tyr didn't even know her own birthday, the crown prince hurriedly prepared to ask for the reason. He was immediately silenced by Purdy, who then went to his sister's side. He told her that the crown prince wasn't lonely at all and surely had many friends around him, though he actually didn't. Nevertheless, he proposed a plan. He would invite the most prestigious royal designer to make a dress. This news caused quite a stir. It was said that the lady only made dresses for the royal family, and that her work was world-renowned. Purdy slowly stood up. I'm honored to have dinner with the crown prince. You're welcome. The deal was made. Tyr's heart finally settled. That's wonderful, your highness. In truth, he didn't like that title. With a slight blush on his face, he said, call me Lord Ian, or just Ian, but don't call me your highness anymore. Before leaving, Ian revealed that His Majesty wanted to meet Tyr. Ludian grew anxious. Could the frequent visits be about the crown princess position? I absolutely have no such thoughts. You all know what being the crown princess entails. After all, Tyr had shown her abilities. As the ruler of a nation, it was normal for him to want to see her. At this moment, Tyr walked over with handmade desserts. The crown prince recalled the pink pillow in the space last night and mentioned in passing, according to the crown prince's description, it had 4 butterfly decorations. He remembered that when he went to sleep, it was still plain. It was truly strange. On the other side, the emperor was already impatient. The grandfather got straight to the point, claiming he knew about that matter. He wouldn't let Tyr become a victim as well. As the argument intensified, the emperor helplessly spoke his mind. He had no such intentions at all. Besides, the crown prince would never agree to it anyway. That lonely child had changed recently. He was simply curious about the person who could make him change. Regarding the past, the emperor remained silent. Perhaps there really was some hidden hardship. Soon, it would be the triennial festival. Tyr was very interested, as she hadn't been out in a long time. But upon learning that the heirs of various families would attend, she thought of her old acquaintances from the snow leopard family and couldn't help but feel troubled. Don't worry. If they dare come near, I'll cool them down myself. Purdy remained the steady one. We can't take lives during the festival, but burning a carriage or 2 is fine. There was a bit of anticipation in the air. That afternoon, Tyr woke up feeling her body was burning hot. She then realized she had transformed into her beast form. After several attempts, she still couldn't change back. Unable to speak, she struggled to jump onto the bell. The maid immediately ran in and found the young lady lying on the floor. What happened? The snow leopard didn't speak, only continued to cry. The maid panicked. Do you need me to take you to Lord Cassis? Tyr immediately beamed with joy. It seemed she was too small to speak fluently in that form. Fortunately, she would recover in a day or 2. But this was bad. The Black Panther family's territory was naturally hot. Now she had to endure several days in her thick fur. Meeting time arrived. Her father picked up Tyr and took her along. Seeing the young lady turned into a snow leopard, everyone was captivated. Even the old patriarch was so distracted by her cuteness that he couldn't focus on the meeting. After the meeting, he immediately demanded a painter to come and paint Tyr in her snow leopard form to hang in the house. He then snatched Tyr from Cassis's hands. To her surprise, her grandfather's hands were even hotter than her father's. Stop kissing me, it's too hot. Seeing Tyr in trouble, her father quickly snatched her back. At that moment, the 2 brothers appeared. Now Tyr was really in for it. She was here. The cousin from the Black Panther family had arrived. The little snow leopard curled into a ball in fear, forced to endure the rough affection. Not long ago, the father had informed his 2 sons that Olivia was coming. He told them to be mentally prepared. That girl is always like this, nothing to be surprised about. Just take Tyr to see her. Hearing this, Tyr was startled. This was their first meeting. Wouldn't it be a bit awkward? It's okay if you don't want to see her. Before the words could even land, the door was slammed open. Olivia rushed in without hesitation. The moment she saw the little snow leopard, she was so excited she almost lost control of her speech. So cute. Is this my cousin Tyr? Seeing how much Olivia liked his granddaughter, the patriarch ordered, go out and play. After all, he had to carefully choose a painter for Tyr. Hearing that Tyr was alive, her mother was also very happy. Purdy naturally knew this. Olivia's mother and his own mother were famously close friends. So, he felt he had to give this little one a hug on behalf of his mother. Don't drop her. Do you really need to teach me that, Ludian? The sensible Tyr quickly walked over. Are you coming for a snuggle? Let me formally introduce myself. I am your cousin, Olivia. At that moment, Tyr felt a breeze coming from Olivia, and her feverish body immediately lunged forward. So cool. I love this. The two brothers, unaware of the reason, were stunned. Olivia was all muscle. Was she really that comfortable to hug? She even made purring sounds. How infuriating. You foolish panthers, don't you know? It's because I'm very cool. Snow leopards are very sensitive to heat. She had learned this by accident once at a tea party. Rowan had kept throwing tantrums because he couldn't stand the heat. Luckily, she was only half-blood snow leopard. Then, Olivia ordered the butler to bring 2 portions of ice cream. You'll turn from a wolf into a pig. Mind your own business. Hearing ice cream, Tyr's face was full of anticipation. She began her ultimate enjoyment. Meanwhile, the crown prince had already finished his letter, preparing to have his adjutant send it to the royal designer. I'm afraid now isn't a good time. It's currently the selection period for the crown princess. Sending royal clothes to Tyr will surely start rumors. But the crown prince didn't care. Though past birthdays were grand, he was always lonely. Since Tyr had taken the initiative to invite him, he had to give her the best reward in return. He wouldn't let anyone stop him. This was the white snow leopard's first time going out to play. Her cousin had begged in the Duke's room for 3 days and nights to make it happen. Olivia had suddenly barged into the panther's territory and showered her never-before-seen cousin with affection. Her unique wind attribute made Tyr feel incredibly cool, solving her problem of getting overheated in beast form at the Black Panther house. So the next day, as soon as Tyr changed back to human form, she went to find her cousin. Unexpectedly, before she could even speak, Olivia pulled her into a hug. So cute, 10,000 times cuter than the beast form. Tell me, what do you want? I'll buy you anything. Why not come to our house? I'll give you the best room. Lu Jian couldn't help but interject. Isn't the best room where the head of the family lives? Stop talking nonsense. Can't you just blow him away like a light rain? Tyr was startled by the commotion and waved her hands to say she didn't need anything. What she wanted most was to snuggle with Olivia. Can I feel the wind from you again, cousin? This coquettish request made Olivia's heart melt. She instinctively summoned a gust of wind that nearly overturned the entire Duke's residence. Are you trying to tear down the whole Black Panther house? Those words awakened Olivia's last shred of reason, saving them from further damage. But Tyr was so scared she shrank back in her snow leopard form. Damn it, I can't properly dote on my cousin here. Let's go out. This made Tyr worry. Would the people outside be like those at the temple? Don't worry, the world outside isn't scary. With the festival coming up, we should practice beforehand. But will father let me go out? Don't worry. I have my ways. And her way was very simple. The universal method of children everywhere, throwing a tantrum on the floor. Even Lord Cassius couldn't withstand this from child. Purdy quickly covered Tyr's eyes, silently praying his sister wouldn't learn this. Father, I just want to experience the outside world in advance, so I could be more at ease during the festival. Hearing this, Cassius was stunned. He hadn't expected his daughter to care so much about the festival. He then told the 2 boys to make sure they protected their sister. To go out without drawing attention, Olivia thought of a great idea. She put Tyr in her beast form into a basket. Olivia would continuously use her wind ability to blow cool air inside. Now, there was nothing to worry about. Looking at the world outside, Tyr felt everything was so fresh. Soon, they arrived at the delicious bakery Olivia had mentioned. Honestly, we can have cake at home. Why drag us out here to suffer? Do you understand what atmosphere is, you stupid leopard? Then Olivia undid Tyr's beast form. Tyr was in a great mood, but while waiting, her light power suddenly triggered. Could something be wrong with this place? I bet on the little snow leopard's first outing, she was caught right by the crown prince. Just moments ago, Tyr had successfully followed everyone to the dessert shop. After her beast form was undone, her body instinctively triggered her light power. At the same time, footsteps came from outside the door. Sensing trouble, they quickly hid Tyr. Luckily, it was just the waiter. Your cake is here. Right. Hearing the others making excuses above, Tyr, under the table, didn't dare slack off. She prayed for the 2 golden fish to disappear quickly, but they were beyond her control. So she began to think desperately of scary things to try and distract herself. Her strange grandfather proved useful after all, and the magic instantly dissipated. Only then did Tyr wave to signal her presence. Can I come out now? Come out quickly. The person is gone. Hearing this, Tyr quickly crawled out. She began to enjoy her hard-earned afternoon tea. Meanwhile, the royal designer, Mrs. Estella, received a letter. Since she communicated by mail all year round, she recognized the royal commission at a glance. Learning she was to make a luxurious dress for a girl personally chosen by the crown prince, The lady was very gratified. It seemed His Highness had fallen in love. To not keep the young man waiting, she decided to work through the night. Just then, a rough knock came from the door. Before anyone could open it, the crown prince burst in with a wave of his hand. I thought I heard a wolf's voice. Haha, I was right. Before this, the crown prince had gone to the panther's territory. The head of the family said they were here, so he rushed over impatiently. To avoid drawing attention, he had specifically dressed in this manner. But did things go as he wished? The young wolf cub didn't give the crown prince any special treatment. Today is my date with my cousin. What are you doing here? Lu Dian, seeing he had support, began to chime in. 3-1, you can leave. But the most important vote was Tears. She quickly came to the crown prince's rescue. I'm happy to see you. At these words, Purdy and the others turned pale. Tear continued her praise, leaving Lu Dian stunned. But what stunned him more was the crown prince reminding him that school was starting soon. Taking care of Tear in the future. Leave it to me. A heart-piercing blow. Brother's going back to the academy soon, so I won't see you. Just send a letter and brother will. Fly back to see you. Then I must study hard and learn to write. Learning that her cousin couldn't write yet, Olivia offered to teach her. Studying is too tiring. Wouldn't drawing a picture do? Everyone remained silent. Then the crown prince broke the silence. He claimed Tear's appearance could help. The Black Panther family regained their original power, and this news had spread throughout the empire. This was a family secret, now broadcast to the whole empire. Purdy's situation was becoming dangerous. The little snow leopard hid under her covers at night, secretly shedding tears. Her father caught her. No matter how much she tried to explain, the perfect evidence on the pillow betrayed her. Not long ago, the display of her power had filled the area. Various factions began to target Tear. Rumors circulated about the leopard clans, that she could undo the family's madness and, accompanied by a glorious light, regain their original power. Now, the snow leopard family had undoubtedly become the greatest enemy. Don't worry, cousin will be protected by our wolf clan. The crown prince told everyone not to be too tense. The various families had their own selfish motives and wouldn't unite overnight just because of one child. Furthermore, he would do his best to protect Tear. The sudden news was almost too much for Tear to bear. That night, the father and son began to discuss countermeasures. The patriarch, upon hearing the news, was furious and began to vent his frustration on the table. He then ordered his son to strengthen security. No one was allowed to go out during this period. Dealing with outsiders was one thing, but they also had to guard against the snow leopards, who were also part of the leopard clans. It was a complete mess. His Majesty is likely considering the matter of the crown princess too. It seems we must act in advance, but this would surely affect Purdy. The father had to urge the patriarch to reconsider. Meanwhile, in her room, the little snow leopard couldn't sleep at all. She buried her head in the pillow, feeling sad that her arrival at the Black Panther house had brought so much trouble. Just then, the door opened. Her father walked in. Tear quickly changed back to human form, trying to hide the fact that she had been shedding little pearls. But the outcome was predictable. The tear stains on the pillow perfectly mirrored Tear's heart. The man felt a pang of heartache and told Tear not to worry. We will protect you to the greatest extent possible. But Tear wasn't worried about herself. She was worried the Black Panther family was in danger because of her. The father was choked up by her thoughtfulness. He then gently stroked his daughter. Before you were here, the family was in a somber mood for a long time. It was your appearance that brought warmth to this home again, so there's no need to apologize. We should be the ones thanking you for appearing. Hearing this, Tear could no longer hold it back. This sense of security was unlike anything she had ever felt. On the other side, the snow leopard family was constantly watching the movements of the Black Panthers and the other 5 families. Among them, the water family was already extinct. The Wind family was openly allied with the Black Panthers. They could only gather the remaining 3 families to deal with that child. He couldn't help but lament that she had shown no ability for so many years under his care, yet started glowing as soon as she reached the Black Panthers. It was infuriating. The aunt saw this and stepped forward to comfort him. To her surprise, the head of the family was not appreciative and roared at her to get away. The aunt quickly turned to leave. It was laughable, turning against her for a half-breed. She would prove that she and Rowan were the most useful ones. He was here. The little snow leopard received her first gift and couldn't help but transform. Not long ago, to hold the birthday banquet for the crown prince, Tyr had enlisted all the family's chefs to create a magnificent feast. Because it was the young lady's order, everyone was filled with a sense of mission, fearing even the slightest mistake. Olivia didn't care about any of that. Before the protagonist even appeared, she started devouring the desserts. Hey, if you eat it all, how can you be happy? Why do you care so much? Amidst their playful bickering, the crown prince pushed open the banquet doors. Tyr was the first to run over. "Welcome. Happy 11th birthday. Long time no see. Have you been well, Tyr?" The girl immediately began to show off, saying that not only was she doing great, but she could even slightly control her light power now. The crown prince was very pleased and gently patted Tyr's head. While some were happy, others were not. Purdy still felt disgruntled by the crown prince's intimacy with his sister. Seeing the young man's gloomy face, Olivia teased him, saying it was laughable that he was afraid of his sister being taken away. "Tyr likes me best." She then began to prove it by pulling out a chair and ordering Tyr to sit next to her. However, before Tyr could run over, the crown prince started making things difficult again. He similarly pushed out a chair and asked Tyr to sit by his side. "What gives? I asked first. I'm a birthday boy." This line undoubtedly ended the contest. Tyr had no choice but to sit there obediently. Purdy declared total defeat and was in very low spirits. Then the crown prince took a gift from his pocket. It looked simple and unadorned. "You're not using this to cancel out Tyr's dress, are you?" "Of course not." Tyr quickly opened the gift. A faint, cool chill radiated from it. The heat Tyr felt was instantly neutralized. Purdy was shocked. "This is the snowfield breath." It was a flower that bloomed only once a century on icy cliffs and would never wither or melt. It could lower the carrier's body temperature and was extremely rare. This bit of bragging solidified the crown prince's prestige. He claimed such little toys were given as tribute and that there were many more in the treasury. He thought it suited Tyr perfectly. The moment the girl touched it, she instinctively turned into her snow leopard form. It felt like being back in her homeland. She rolled around happily on the dining table. Now, she finally didn't have to be troubled by the heat. Olivia and the others had dark expressions. The crown prince smiled calmly, having effortlessly defeated the ignorant subjects. After absorbing the coolness, Tyr soon changed back. She claimed she had also prepared a gift for the crown prince. It was too large, so she went to get it. While Tyr turned to get the gift, jealousy filled the entire room. Tyr's first gift was actually for this guy. Unbelievable. Then Tyr brought out a gift taller than herself, walking out unsteadily. She shyly asked the crown prince if he could wait until he was back in the palace and alone to open it. At this time, the grandfather also peeked in. He had accidentally seen Tyr carrying a strange object and wanted to investigate. The moment he opened the door, he saw the four of them in a daze, their melancholic expressions lingering over the gift the little snow leopard had prepared. It turned out to be a matryoshka doll. It took the crown prince 3 whole days of unpacking to finally reach the end. At a recent birthday banquet, the crown prince took a treasure from the national treasury and gave it to Tyr. Wearing it can ward off the scorching winds of the Black Panther territory. In return, Tyr laboriously lugged a large box out of her room, emphasizing that the crown prince could only open it after he returned home. Recalling this birthday banquet, it was truly the best experience of his life. It turned out the feeling of playing around with friends was so wonderful. Back at the palace, he couldn't wait to find out that exactly what Tyr's gift to him was. He then unwrapped the first layer of packaging. He had a faint feeling something wasn't right. Then came the second layer, the third layer. By the time he reached the 999th layer, he was exhausted and began to pray that this was the last doll. Sure enough, what met his eyes was a glowing, sacred relic. He was puzzled, then picked up the instructions Tyr had prepared at the bottom. "Please take this to a place without light." A place without light? Could this be an illusion? To the private space Tyr had once entered, the crown prince's heart skipped a beat. That place held his inner darkness. No glowing relic could ever illuminate it, but with a glimmer of hope, he still did as he was told and walked in with Tyr's gift. After pacing around for a bit, the crown prince chose a perfect spot to sit cross-legged and place the gift on the ground. As expected, but it was still useless. He was utterly disappointed. However, the gift seemed to hear his heart's cry. Instantly, it emitted a blinding light, illuminating the entire room. He was shocked that Tyr's light power had reached such heights, not being swallowed by the darkness at all. He could feel the aura Tyr had left on it. Meanwhile, Tyr was lying in bed, worrying. "Will the crown prince like my gift?" Of course, Mississippi. This is the result of 3 days and nights of your hard work. I'll keep working hard to make an even bigger and brighter gift. A few days passed quickly. The designer arrived as scheduled at the Black Panther estate to create a custom dress for Tyr. Hearing that the lady only made clothes for the royal family, why would she suddenly visit? I am simply fulfilling a commission. Grandpa guessed that these youngsters must have used the crown prince's birthday banquet. Thought to make this deal. The moment she saw Tyr, the designer's eyes lit up. Golden eyes paired with snow-white hair gave her a burst of inspiration. She then asked Tyr if there was any color she particularly liked. Tyr blurted out gold, the gold that symbolized her family. It would be best if it matches the brooch the crown prince gave me. Suddenly understanding, Grandpa intervened forcefully, asking the lady to also design for Tyr's other form. The moment Tyr transformed, the lady was completely melted by the cuteness. She hurriedly told her secretary to step back. She wanted to personally experience this little creature with all her senses. It was simply too soft. How could such a cute thing exist in this world? Goodbye, little one. I'm going to work through the night, so please look forward to it. With Olivier's help, little Tyr's learning progress improved by leaps and bounds. That day, the nanny informed them that the painters arranged by the family head had arrived. Hearing this, Tyr obediently prepared to go, but she was stopped by the nanny. "It's all right, Mississippi. They will be staying here for 5 days." She didn't want to say another word. If she didn't speak, Tyr would stop immediately. Hey, line up, okay? Ferdy and I went to great lengths to get this slot. The next day, the painters were ready, marching aggressively toward Tyr. Seeing such a spectacle, that her father told her not to be afraid, claiming the painters needed to draw from different angles. So, the more people, the better. Once finished, we'll pick a family portrait to place right in the center of the estate entrance, so the whole world knows Tyr is the pride of our Black Panther family. It was so wonderful. Tyr was full of motivation. However, she didn't expect that the painters would draw for 4 whole days. Yesterday, she almost couldn't stay on her feet. Life was truly exhausting. Just as she was getting ready to wake up, the maid brought her some good news. The designer's clothes had arrived, but they weren't formal dresses. They were just clothes for her beast form. It was clear that the designer was very devoted to Tyr. Since that was the case, she wouldn't disappoint. Anyway, she had the ice flower from the crown prince. She wouldn't feel too hot, even when transformed. At this time, the family head had been waiting for a long time. Aren't we only painting Tyr today? Is Grandpa going to the capital? Why is he dressed so formally? You're wrong. Today, I'm going to be Tyr's footstool. Damn it, to use such a method. No wonder Father was sent out to work by Grandpa today. As Tyr appeared in her beast form, everyone was instantly overwhelmed by cuteness. My precious Tyr, if you sit on Grandpa today, you won't get tired. Lujian couldn't help but complain. He had wanted to hang the painting at school. It would be too awkward now with Grandpa in the picture. Fortunately, the clever Olivier bribed a painter with triple the price to focus only on Tyr. Though it was a bit underhanded, the method was extremely effective. Ludian was even willing to contribute all his money to Olivier. It's a deal. All right, get one for me too. But they didn't expect the designer to send hundreds, even thousands of outfits. They soon ran out of funds. Not only that, Grandpa monopolized Tyr all day and even snatched away the solo paintings. Luckily, Ferdy had hidden one. Grandpa forced my hand. I'll go to his room tonight and steal one back. You can't. Careful, or I'll tell Aunt. Mentioning his mother, Olivier suddenly remembered that his family would be coming tomorrow. This would be the first time Aunt returned home. That's since the death of Tyr's mother, Raina's child. To think we were finally going to meet. The little snow leopard's first encounter with her mother's memory left her in tears. Even her father was the same. Not long ago, Olivier's family had arrived. The heads of the two families began to exchange pleasantries, but his sister was nowhere to be seen. Etienne had already been taken by Olivier to see Tyr. It seemed the child was very likable. Otherwise, this place wouldn't be as neat and bright as it was when Raina was alive. That's right, we were all saved by that child. On the other side, Aunt was walking very slowly. She was tiptoeing as if she were afraid of something. Little Tyr didn't understand. She thought Aunt was shy, so she plucked up her courage and stepped forward to introduce herself generously as Tyr. Upon hearing this, Aunt reached out, her hand trembling as she touched Tyr's face, thinking how much she looked like Raina. Then, she couldn't help but step forward and embrace her. This hug, 10 years overdue. I really wish I could take a picture of them. Speaking of which, the photography industry has been very active lately, applying technology directly to photos. Holding Tyr, she began to pour out all her longing. She never dreamed she would see Raina's child in her lifetime. Is Aunt going to stay here too? That's right, we won't return to our territory for a few days. Hearing this, Olivier was stunned. Do I have to go back too? I don't want to. Be good. As the heir, you must return. Soon, they arrived at a long-sealed room, but it had already been carefully cleaned beforehand. This was her mother Raina's room. Even her father hadn't visited in a long time. Then, Aunt began searching through the cabinets and finally found a small piece of clothing in a drawer. She handed it to Tyr, claiming Raina had knitted it for her. Years ago, when her mother was still alive, she had put a lot of heart into this little outfit. She was either adjusting the length or fixing the collar. She hoped the daughter in her belly would be as beautiful as herself, and appear before the world in lovely clothes. Truly, a good love can change a person's temperament. This was also the first time Anne had seen Raina look so flustered. She couldn't help but feel happy for her brother. For marrying this woman who was willing to give up everything for her family. The ideal was beautiful, but reality was always harsh. In the end, Raina never got to see her beloved daughter. She fell into an eternal sleep on that cold, snowy night. She really loved you, so much so that she gave her life. Tyr remained silent. She remembered when she was in the snow leopard territory, she would always sneak into her grandfather's room to look at her mother's portrait. She subconsciously lowered her head, using her peripheral vision to feel her mother's face. Even though her father always said none of it was her fault, Tyr still hadn't forgiven herself. Until today, hearing these words from her aunt, she finally let it go. She cried like never before. Now she could finally tell anyone with pride that she too had a mother who loved her deeply. To feel her mother's love, the little snow leopard lay all day on the small clothes her mother left her. Even her two passing brothers couldn't help but steal a few glances. Speaking of which, the two of them hadn't come here to lie down in a long time. They really missed the days when their mother held them tight. Years ago, before Tyr came to the Black Panther family, the two little guys would often hide in their mother's room. To keep the tears from falling, they would even restlessly start doing squats. If their father heard them, he would shed little pearls too. Time flies, and now their father, in his beast form, occasionally comes here. Looking at the harmonious scene before him, he finally found peace. Raina, did you see? Our children have grown up. It's a fight. The little snow leopard's parents are fighting in the street. Not long ago, Aunt came to visit. Learning that the Black Panther clan was about to move to the capital, she generously claimed she would provide necessary supplies upon their return, but father politely declined. The villa in the capital is being renovated. We don't need them yet. Hearing this, Tyr's eyes became vacant. According to her father, the place where they would live was surrounded by various noble families. It was they who, coveting her power, viewed the Black Panther family as enemies. What should she do? But on second thought, Aunt was the leader of the Winged Wolf clan. With their support, what did she have to fear? She secretly vowed to use her powerful abilities to show off the Black Panther family's prestige. This ambitious scene was unexpectedly caught by her aunt, who patted Tyr's head. She claimed the capital was a great place. It was where her mother Raina and her father first met. 5 years ago, 6-year-old Raina defeated her 8-year-old father in the street. She created the image of a powerful and overbearing young lady. Even 3 years later, that when Cassius met her for the second time, he would still subconsciously touch his neck. The bite mark is gone? Then I'll give you another one. A story full of memories was suddenly made public. It made her father's face turn redder and redder. Soon, 3 days passed. As the heir of the Winged Wolf clan, her cousin finally boarded the carriage home. Don't forget me, and remember to do your homework. Okay, I will. Happy times are always short. They agreed to meet again in the capital. Seeing his daughter's reluctant look, father gently patted her head. Don't worry, we'll see each other soon. Then, father returned home and took out a gift he had prepared for Tyr for a long time. He placed it by his daughter's bedside. Learning of this, Tyr hurried to check it. It turned out to be a portrait of herself and her mother. Her father had specifically commissioned a painter for a high price. To create this perfect piece, making up for the regret in Tyr's heart. She choked out, "Thank you, Papa." That night, Tyr clutched her mother's portrait, and her Black Panther plushie, unable to sleep for a long time. She truly hoped she could enter a dream where all her family were alive, and living happily together. Meanwhile, on the other side, a woman slowly woke up in the darkness. Her eyes were hollow. She had long golden hair and murmured to the dark space. Then, a red crack appeared in the darkness, guiding the woman to walk inside. Danger was coming after all. The little snow leopard put on a magnificent dress, preparing to reveal her identity to the entire capital. To assert his dominance, the crown prince, that held Tyr in his arms. Not long ago, Tyr had followed her father to the villa in the capital, a journey that originally took half a month thanks to the help of the Winged Wolf clan. That was completed in less than half a day. Then, led by her brothers Tyr, Dot arrived at the princess room her father had specially built for her. It was very girly, that all in pink tones. Tyr loved it. In her excitement, Dot the box in her hand suddenly moved. It turned out to be filled with her divine power. If Tyr's mental control slipped even slightly, they would run out on their own, just like how the water in the temple had unintentionally turned gold. They hovered around Tyr, emitting a brilliant golden light. They looked very lively. Just then, the butler informed them that the crown prince had arrived at the mansion. Hearing this news, the brothers' faces darkened. This guy is really persistent. He's here only minutes after he got home. Indeed, the golden divine power surrounding Tyr Dot suddenly vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, the crown prince was slumped in his room, suffering from a headache because the emperor was forcing him to choose a consort soon. He really didn't want to just grab someone to marry, Dot sacrificing another person to break his curse. Besides, his private space had been acting up lately, always emitting an eerie aura. Even his adjutant couldn't help but ask, "What is that black stuff on your hand?" Before he could answer, there was a sudden knock at the door. Seeing that it was Tyr, the crown prince's gloomy expression suddenly brightened. "I brought a gift for you. Is that so? Open it and let me see." As soon as she finished speaking, Tyr turned back into her snow leopard form and shyly hid under a dessert cover. "Oh, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed." Without a word, he picked up the little snow leopard. Then he gently held her in his arms. "How could I be? Thanks to you. The last gift made my private space much brighter. I really like it." Tyr was overjoyed to hear this. Strangely, the moment Tyr left his hand, the black aura on the crown prince suddenly disappeared. He guessed it might be related to Tyr's ability. At this moment, the two brothers burst in. Hey, that's enough for a meeting, right? You've been talking for almost 20 minutes. The next day, Anne also arrived. Like Tyr's mother, she had carefully prepared some daily necessities for the celebration. "You're too kind. Give my regards to the Winged Wolf clan." "It's all right, brother. Then we'll see you tonight." After his sister left, father looked at Tyr in her dress and couldn't help but marvel. Now he could finally introduce to the world that he had a daughter as beautiful as Reyna. "Don't be afraid of others' gazes at the festival. I am with you. The entire Black Panther family will protect you." These words greatly increased Tyr's confidence. She also firmly believed her father would protect her. "Then, let's go. Go and shine, my dear daughter. I am the brightest little snow leopard. Stunning." Everyone at the festival. The light energy of the return gathered the magic of the Empire's 5 major noble families. But while some were happy, others were worried. Tyr's face was filled with an uneasy expression. Not long ago, Tyr was invited to attend the Empire's celebration with the Black Panther family. The capital's nobles had already arrived one after another. Like all the commoners, they wanted to catch a glimpse of Tyr's beauty. At this moment, the Black Panther family entered the hall like kings of the night with their long legs. However, behind them was a completely different scene. Tyr, dressed in a magnificent white gown, that looked very much like the young Reyna. Everyone gasped. The noisy voices made Tyr so nervous she didn't dare look up. "Sister, don't be afraid. If you hear someone talking nonsense, I'll tear their mouths apart." Tyr's heart instantly warmed at these words. Looking back, she saw her cousin Olivier, waving at her, and she immediately responded. Just then, the appearance of a few figures. It was her aunt and her peer, Lulu, along with the current head of the snow leopard family. Painful memories resurfaced. Those images of being abandoned were frantically attacking Tyr's fragile heart. Fortunately, Ferdy appeared in time. He hugged his sister tightly. "Don't be afraid. Brother is here. No one dares to hurt you." These words helped Tyr regain her confidence. With the arrival of the emperor and the crown prince, the celebration reached its climax. The emperor politely waved to the crowd, and began to announce the start of the festival. "On this sacred day, we have invited Tyr Bastrian. Please come forward." The emperor's immediate introduction of Tyr made the old man very uneasy. In contrast, Cassius, was very calm. He patted his father's shoulder. "Please believe in our Tyr. She can do it." Then, surrounded by her family, Tyr stepped forward and walked onto the stage. "Child, can you create light now? This sacred day should be opened by you. Now you are the star of the capital. Please show your power to your heart's content." These words caused the ill-intentioned snow leopard family to fall into a pit of their own making. But there was nothing they could do. After all, they had caused this themselves, losing the most perfect heir. At this moment, Tyr had already begun. A brilliant light covered the entire venue. Everyone began to cheer. The emperor took the opportunity to energize the crowd. Then the 5 major families also began to cooperate. 5 elements gathered together and soared into the sky with Tyr's light power. Golden koi swam through the elements, finally blooming into fireworks. They lit up the night sky of the entire empire. What a wonderful opening! The emperor couldn't help but shout excitedly, "The Master of Light has returned. There will be no more darkness on this land." The celebration officially begins. Let's cheer for Tyr. The emperor's unusual behavior made the crown prince, who was standing by, feel strongly uneasy. It pushed Tyr right into the eye of the storm. What on earth was his father thinking? After the festival, the little ice cream deer slumped exhausted against her sister, Olivia. She looked exactly like a puddle of melted ice cream. Not long ago, Deer had displayed her light ability before everyone. The 5 great families weren't idle either, activating their enchanted robes one after another. Following the light ability, they soared into the clouds. This historic display made Rowan, who was also from the snow leopard family, look increasingly embarrassed. The little snow leopard hadn't expected Rowan to ever envy her. Several people began to chime in, saying that this person couldn't compare to Deer at all, and the material of their clothes didn't look like much either. Since the snow leopard family's financial sources had been ruined by the grandfather not long ago, it seemed they didn't have much money left in their coffers. The 3 of them then burst into laughter. In Deer's eyes, the 3 little ones looked more like a group of villains. At the festival, people were reluctant to leave, all moved by the shock of the light ability. However, negative rumors soon began to emerge. Some thought the Black Panther family was greedy, adopting Deer solely to better monopolize her light ability, which could cure the mania. Sharp-eyed members of the crowd even noticed the Imperial family's hidden motives. Deer's outfit bore the unique mark of the designer, Lady Estella. Such a prestigious woman only designed dresses for the Imperial family. The Black Panther family likely didn't have the status for this. They concluded that Deer was destined to become the crown princess. The next day, the older sister took Deer to the capital's market, which was incredibly lively. She dressed Deer in a disguise to lower the amount of attention she received. Little did they know, a man was following them from the shadows. Despite the presence of the Imperial Knights, Cathers still couldn't stop worrying about his young daughter. He hid in a corner, watching the situation and ready to intervene at any moment. When he saw Deer take a bite of the soft, chewy rice cakes, the old father's heart that was nearly melted by her cuteness, he felt his trip was truly worth it. "Is it good, little sister? I'll toast it a bit more for you." Just then, a helpful citizen suddenly appeared. He asked if the little thing bundled up like a cabbage was the little princess of the Black Panther family. How? How did you know? Can I give her a gift? These are fresh cookies from our shop. As soon as he said this, the street erupted into a frenzy. Everyone began offering the treasures of their shops. In just a few minutes, the group was completely overwhelmed with bribes. "You are the light of hope for the Empire. Thank you for blessing us." Deer was embarrassed by these words and wanted to respond, but she was interrupted by a sudden troublemaker who claimed Deer didn't look like anything special. She just set off some fireworks, that's all. These few words of provocation quickly drew Ludian's ire. But every villain meets their match. Behind him, thought someone slammed him against a wall. "You brat," apologized to the princess immediately, but the rebellious child refused to listen. Left with no choice, the man apologized to Deer himself. However, Peldy wasn't buying it. How could a family's darling be handled so casually? Although the man felt displeased, that he thought about the legendary prophecy. If it were true, Deer, as a daughter of the Black Panther family, would eventually have to marry. If he could arrange a connection for his foolish son, that his family's power would surely increase significantly. This way, he could also seize the lifeblood of the Black Panther family, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Thinking of this, what was the harm in apologizing a few more times? He grabbed Peldy's hand, and began a 10-minute-long attempt at coaxing. Little did he know, Cathers had already appeared behind him. "What do you think you're doing?" The mighty lion beast man was actually cuddling with a little snow leopard. It turned out he was the crown prince in his beast form. Ian thought his massive size would scare Deer until he pushed the door open. He found the Black Panther family guards standing like guardian gods. His own size looked like a joke in front of them. Fortunately, Deer gave Ian a way out, pulling him into the room. She circled around him, constantly muttering about how big brother Ian was. He was even more imposing than her two brothers. Seeing the crown prince wasn't reacting, Deer decided to show him what's what and took a bite out of his tail. The crown prince felt nothing, as the little snow leopard's teeth weren't fully developed yet. After playing, Deer brought out a prepared gift in an exquisite box. Ian thought she wanted him to sit inside. However, that his massive body quickly crushed the box. Seeing this, the little snow leopard shed helpless tears. The overbearing crown prince had to take the box back to the palace and order his adjutant, the little deer, to fix it. This wasn't Rowan's doing. The crown prince had been treated with disdain. Not long ago, the father had followed Deer to the market. As he expected, his daughter was harassed before she had even walked a few steps. He then lunged forward from the shadows to stop them. The Marquis gave an awkward smile, claiming he was just passing by with his son. "Is that so? I thought I saw you trying to take my children away." Hearing this, the Marquis felt a chill down his spine and immediately began to argue that he was just inviting them. "Not to have breakfast. You can have breakfast with me. Peldy, you guys go back first. Remember to wash your hands. There's a lot of filth on the streets today." Seeing his plan fail and being scolded on top of it, the Marquis was unwilling, but in the end, that he couldn't escape the fate of attending a hangmen banquet with the Duke. On the way back, the others were still complaining that the Marquis was as clingy as a piece of gum. However, Deer's side effects were even stronger. A sticky, strange sensation filled the thin air, making it hard for her to breathe. Fortunately, it was only for a moment. She didn't understand where this skin-crawling feeling was coming from. The next day, the little snow leopard dressed up and attended the grand ceremony again. A tall spire had been built in the center of the venue. The emperor had organized a competition specifically to show off the power of the great families to his subjects. It was like an opening ceremony, but today's focus was on the heirs. So, the father sent Peldy to compete. Deer didn't need to worry. Peldy had won the last competition as well, this time with his sister cheering. That he would surely be even more motivated. Soon, the heirs of the great families made their appearances. The Marquis's son from yesterday was no exception, but now he was filled with fear. Ludian wondered what his father had done to them yesterday. Deer then noticed a girl with hair like a flower. She seemed to be on good terms with her cousin, Olivia. Deer was envious, as everyone wants a friend their own age. Speaking of friends, Deer's blood-related sister, Rowan, made her entrance last. At only 7 years old, she walked with such composure. Peldy was only 8 and was just starting to compete. But thinking about it, his wife Reyna had won at age 6. The snow leopard family's strength was not to be underestimated. Rowan's gaze then fixed on the crown prince. She began to fantasize about already being the crown princess, thinking of that mongrel deer wandering around the capital, that she felt that if she were here, she would have won over the crown prince long ago. With that thought, she changed her path and walked toward him. This left the Black Panther family stunned. "Your Highness, hello. I am Rowan, the heir of the snow leopard family." She then began a barrage of flattery. The crown prince was left confused. Seeing no response, Rowan became even bolder and suddenly grabbed Ian's hand. She claimed she wanted to marry him. These words disgusted the crown prince. He uncharacteristically lost his temper. "Go away. I will never marry you." He then turned and left coolly. On the way, he took his anger out on Peldy, who was preparing for the race. "You, get up there already. It's your fault. I'm covered in filth. My apologies, Your Highness." As Rowan awkwardly took the stage, that the competition was about to begin. Everyone was ready, and at the crown prince's command, that they began to display their power. However, an accident occurred. Everyone's lives. The little snow leopard was cursed by Rowan, who would soon face the crown prince's endless wrath. Not long ago, the competition between the 5 great families officially began. They used their abilities to summon large spirit beasts and race toward the top of the tower through various shortcuts. The first to reach the finish line would be the champion. Soon, at the crown prince's command, 0.5 spirit beasts of different elements were deployed. As the race started, that everyone remained peaceful. Peldy was the first to make a move. That using his fire ability to break through the first shortcut, his speed, that sparked jealousy in Olivia, but she didn't give up, manipulating her ability to follow closely. This passionate race that made the little snow leopard excited as well. Soon, everyone turned their eyes toward the snow leopard family. They vaguely remembered the fear of being dominated by Reyna years ago. It seemed that reputation was now being ruined by Rowan. Reyna, that had once held the championship for 12 consecutive years. As the gossip grew louder, The snow leopard family was breaking out in a cold sweat. After all, this concerned the reputation of the heir. Consequently, their influence would inevitably be suppressed. The patriarch then took his anger out on his daughter. "We are the most powerful family, second only to the royals. How are you educating your child? Everyone else has moved up, while Rowan is still lingering on the second floor." But Rowan wasn't thinking about that. Through her relentless efforts, she finally managed to maneuver her spirit beast to the third floor. But due to her poor control, she caused the two spirit beasts below her to fall. The Marquis's son had no choice but to launch an attack, trapping Rowan's spirit beast. This caused her confidence to climb further to crumble instantly, and she ended up in 5th place. First place was, unsurprisingly, awarded to Peldy. Second place went to Olivia. They took the stage in order. According to the rules, the champion could receive a wish. Blessed by the imperial family. I want the breath of the snow field held by the snow leopard family, and as much of it as possible. This was an item the crown prince had once given Deer, and that was only a single piece. It seemed the cunning Peldy was constantly looking for chances to beat the crown prince. He wanted to prove that he loved his sister more than anyone. But while some were happy, others were worried. The oblivious snow leopard patriarch stood up to ask Peldy, "That item is so old. What do you want it for?" "To give to my sister, of course. Is that even question?" Deer was very happy to hear this. Given the rules agreed upon before the match, Peldy would take some of the breath of the snow field, but he should leave some for the snow leopard family. At this, Rowan flew into a rage. "That's a treasure even I don't have. Why give it to that mongrel deer?" Her hysterical words caused the snow leopard family to lose all face. The patriarch immediately ordered her to shut up and then apologized to the crown prince. "We will follow the crown prince's orders." But Ian didn't seem ready to let the insolent Rowan off and walked straight toward her. To see the little snow leopard, the crown prince lowered his guard before everyone. Not long ago, Peldy won the exhibition match. His little fan, Deer, rushed forward. "Brother, you were so cool." Peldy was overjoyed to hear this and quickly changed the subject, claiming he would use his prize. To fill the entire Black Panther mansion with the breath of the snow field. Maybe take a little less. It's the first time I've seen grandfather so angry. I'm worried for Rowan. Olivia suddenly appeared, saying the little snow leopard was too kind. Someone like Rowan, who curses in public after losing a race, should be locked up. Ludian then made an ill-timed comment. "Oh, you're here, Mississippi, eternal second place." After some playful bickering, Peldy remembered the crown prince. His expression hadn't looked right since the start of the race, and now he had left the venue early. Could something have happened? Soon, they returned to the mansion. Olivia held the little snow leopard, unable to let go. She claimed her second-place prize was getting to cuddle Deer. Just then, the crown prince's adjutant arrived with something. Everyone was stunned until the beast form crown prince appeared. They were shocked once again. Then the two brothers began to snicker. So this was his beast form? The crown prince had no choice. After explaining his situation to the emperor, he was placed under house arrest and could only sneak out in this form. Inside the room, Ian showed his paw. A black aura suddenly billowed out, but only Deer could see it. Before the opening ceremony, Ian felt his mana becoming unstable. Now, his vision was darkening, and his body was becoming weaker. Because of this, the emperor had confined him. Fortunately, with his adjutant's help, he found an opportunity to slip away. Deer had also felt this black aura when they were on the streets of the capital. Now it was certain that only Ian himself and Deer, who possessed the light ability, could see it. Everyone guessed that someone was behind this, but someone who could influence the crown prince's power. That could not be an ordinary person. Their motives were still unclear. Based on these few points, they couldn't just stop the festival. But since all the major figures were gathered here, they had to immediately go back and inform the emperor before making a plan. Ian then patted a worried Deer and rode back on his adjutant. Deer could clearly feel danger approaching. As the door opened, they were invited to attend the grandfather's banquet that evening. But strangely, why was it a relayed message? Was there something important keeping the grandfather from leaving? It seemed that not only the royals, but the Black Panther family was also in danger. To sleep with the little snow leopard, the others went to great lengths. Even the usually cold Peldy was actively competing. Soon, the patriarch gathered the whole family for dinner. Throughout the meal, he kept sighing. He looked pale and weak. At the festival, the emperor's ambition to make Deer the crown princess had been made known to the whole empire. He had petitioned multiple times. hoping to end this idea, but against the imperial power, he was repeatedly turned away. If this continued, Deer would eventually become a sacrificial lamb. Seeing the atmosphere so heavy, Olivia started a conversation, claiming she had taken second place for 2 consecutive years. Yet she hadn't made the headlines of the Wolf Tribe's news. While some were happy, others were not. Lu Jian started muttering that the headlines only report the winner. This move was asking for trouble and earned him a beating from Olivia, which only gave the patriarch more of a headache. Deer's expression was also serious. She decided to tell them about the evil Aura, Don the Crown Prince. To protect the little snow leopard, the family confined her to the house. Fortunately, Olivia was by her side. Peldy then burst in, dragging Lu Jian with him. Seeing Olivia there, Lu Jian was the first to complain. What's the little wolf doing here? Deer has her panther brothers to protect her. A battle was about to break out. Deer stepped in to keep the peace. It's okay, let's all sleep together. At her words, the two of them hopped onto the bed, giving Olivia no chance to speak. Although she was happy now, Deer's plan to see the fireworks at the capital had fallen through. What bothered her more was that the 3 of them couldn't see the grand event because of her. Seeing the mood drop again, Olivia spoke up. Let's talk about something fun. No problem. Let's talk about the mermaid ball held by the academies in the summer, right, Lu Jian? You're so boring. Amidst their banter, time passed quickly. With her family's company, Deer soon fell asleep. The next morning, Deer was studying in her room when her father pushed the door open. He said he would take her to a special place. It turned out he knew about her. Dot wished to see the fireworks. He had bought a boat by the river in the capital overnight. Dot and arranged with the Wolf Tribe to set up a powerful protection barrier that not even a fly could penetrate. This way, his daughter could watch the fireworks in peace. Led by Olivia, Deer, Dot soon arrived at the boat. This was her first time going out on a boat. Peldy elegantly extended his hand to invite his sister aboard. Then, the wolf leader activated the barrier, and the boat began to sail into the distance. Flower lanterns, which the knights had worked hard to place, floated on the lake, creating a perfect atmosphere. Now, they just had to wait for nightfall. Little did they know, danger was also approaching. To compete for the little snow leopard's attention, Olivia didn't hesitate to transform, carrying Deer around the house for 3 laps. She even showed off shamelessly in front of the 2 boys. Not to be outdone, Peldy immediately stepped forward. Sister, how can you ride on a dog? Peldy, you brat. I'm a wolf dog, not just a dog, okay? Whatever you are. How can you teach a leopard who hasn't even shed her baby fur to play such games? As soon as he finished, Olivia threw 2 balls of yarn, and the 2 boys immediately pounced on them. Olivia couldn't help but mock them. You 2 can only play with yarn balls. How pathetic. Damn it, she's using yarn to lure us. Peldy then thought of a clever trick and threw a frisbee. Before Olivia could react, her uncle had already taken first place in the competition. This move was met with disdain from the aunt. How old are you? Still so childish, stealing toys from children. Olivia then asked a soul-searching question. Do you want to play with your brothers or your sister? Deer was in a dilemma, but she quickly resolved it by drawing a family portrait. She said it would be best if everyone played together. In that time, the mysterious little snow leopard, Dot was actually unable to suppress the rampaging crown prince and nearly lost her life. Not long ago, Dot, to protect Deer, they kept her home for 3 days and nights. The father couldn't stand it, so he rented out the entire pond. Dot to let his daughter watch the most beautiful fireworks in the empire. Although not as grand as the opening ceremony, Dot was on a boat, which had its own kind of romance. The 5-colored banquet converged in the night sky, as if the 5 great families were performing a ritual to protect everyone. Regrettably, she couldn't be with the crown prince. She wondered how he was doing and if his health had improved. While she was lost in her worries, Olivier's sudden appearance startled her. This is a gift for you. Arnie's feathers combined with my added wind attribute can let you fly. Hearing this, Lu Jian chimed in again. Fly? Are you trying to get Tyr blown away, you idiot? With the power of Arnie's vines, Tyr will be safely wrapped in midair. But it's a one-time use. You must use it at the most dangerous moment. The comprehensive features even made Purdy marvel. He hadn't expected Olivier to be a thinking creature after all. You brat, didn't the Academy teach you how to compliment people? Speaking of danger, the most dangerous thing Tyr had encountered along the way was undoubtedly the time she saved Purdy. Olivier began to interview Tyr. Weren't you really scared? That was a whole sea of fire. I was scared, but my brother was in danger. I felt I had to go. I also thought about how my tail might burn up like a marshmallow. Her cute answer left Olivier unsure whether to feel sorry for her or speechless. In fact, Purdy had tested it afterward. Tears first seemed to perfectly avoid his flames. Rather than saying she saved him, it was more accurate to say she healed him with her light energy, because Tyr wasn't harmed by his power at all. So now, my power exists solely to protect Tyr. This caught the two of them off guard. Lord Purdy scores another point. At this moment, Tyr began to pray. Thanks to the Empire's guardian deity, she had been given a second chance to be loved. She hoped this power could be passed on to His Highness the Crown Prince. Soon, 3 days passed, and the Empire reached the closing ceremony. She hadn't been able to see the Crown Prince during this time, and nothing had happened. It seemed he had improved. Tyr looked into the distance. Ian was sitting properly on the stage. Her anxious heart could finally rest, but just then, a faint black aura began to emanate from the Crown Prince. As the Emperor took the stage to give his speech, the crowd cheered. Only Rowan hung his head in silence. Tyr knew he must have been severely scolded, though it surely wasn't as bad as her previous life. At this moment, the black aura grew larger. Her father instinctively shielded Tyr behind him. The scene quickly dissolved into chaos. The people in the audience were no better off. A man saw a black spatial portal. It seemed ready to swallow everyone. Disregarding the attempts to stop her, the little snow leopard that resolutely saved the near-death crown prince, but also earned strong praise from a mysterious person. Not long ago, at the closing ceremony, the crown prince's body became increasingly out of control. The moment the emperor stepped onto the stage, the blackened power within Ian's body suddenly surged out. The people nearby were instantly disintegrated, which scared the old emperor half to death. Fortunately, the 5 great families acted in time and immediately built a powerful protective shield. Lujian was confused as to why Ian would do such a thing, but Purdy understood very well. The situation was exactly like his own past experience. He was definitely being manipulated. Despite the temporary protective net, some unlucky citizens were still sucked into the alternate dimension. As more and more people suffered, Tyr's mood grew worse. Not long ago, she had been named the future of the Empire by the Emperor. She knew that if she didn't act now, that she would fail everyone's trust, and even more so, fail her own mother. And she would never see Ian again. It was then that the light energy seemed to hear her call. It emerged from the Black Panther family's fire magic, but was stopped by her father. He was afraid his daughter would be in danger. The current situation had already spiraled out of control. Tyr wanted to listen to her father, but at a time like this, she was helpless to do so. She then took out the gift her cousin had given her and instantly completed her transformation. Leaping into the air, she thought, "Sorry, I can't listen to you this time. Trust me, that I will definitely return safely to Daddy's side," with the treasure created by the two families. Tyr successfully reached the center. By now, Ian had completely lost consciousness. Just as Tyr was about to be sucked into the anomaly, the Crown Prince suddenly felt a sense of courage. That familiar scent. It was Tyr. And just like that, the two of them were pulled into the alternate dimension together. The crisis was then averted, leaving only a spatial portal on the ground. Everyone was astonished by what had just occurred. But no matter how the Emperor shouted, there was no response from within. At the same time, Tyr woke up from her slumber. She began to examine her surroundings. It wasn't pitch black like before. Everything actually had color. She tried to wake Ian up, but the Crown Prince showed no signs of waking. Then, faint footsteps came from the door. "Your Majesty, stop being foolish. You've clearly seen the National Treasury records, yet you still gotta insist on this? Crown Prince, no matter what you say, I won't change my mind. This plan isn't feasible, Father." During the argument, Tyr caught a glimpse of the man's face. He looked like Ian's father. To save the dying Crown Prince, the little snow leopard exerted all her strength. But to no avail. Just as she was about to give up, signs of light energy appeared at Ian's neck. Tyr had fallen into the alternate dimension along with the Crown Prince. Unlike before, this alternate dimension was in color. Dot and his parents even appeared. The two were worrying about the future of Ian's curse. They didn't want His Majesty to extend his life by sacrificing others, nor did they want the slightest thing to go wrong with their child. At this point, the mother's crying grew louder, causing the environment to undergo a qualitative change. Black mist enveloped the entire manor. Not knowing the truth, the little snow leopard could only run to Ian's side, attempting to shield him with her body. Then, a massive combustion occurred all around. The two decided to sacrifice themselves to trade for Ian's temporary peace. "Child, we will always be with you." Even though it was an illusion, Tyr still instinctively stepped forward to stop them. The Emperor also arrived. He never expected retribution to fall upon himself. The sacrifice could have been anyone but it absolutely could not be his own family. As the couple vanished, that the surroundings reverted to the previous darkness. These were the painful memories Ian was unwilling to uncover. Why did they appear here? Where did they go? Countless riddles began to trouble her. She desperately wanted to know the answer, so Tyr started looking for clues nearby. She stepped on a pink pillow, one she had used before, but now it was exceptionally large. Looking closely, she found that the holy relic she had given Ian was pinned underneath. Its light was much dimmer than before. Tyr immediately stepped forward to cast her magic. With her empowerment, the holy relic's light enveloped the entire room. Many innocent victims were lying inside, all people who had been sucked in by the spatial anomaly. Tyr walked through the crowd to Ian. Darkness was continuously emanating from his body. Her snow leopard form simply couldn't handle it. So, she simply reverted to her human form and began to battle the black aura. But the more the two powers clashed, the more Ian's life was in danger, to the point where his neck was being severely constricted. Tyr immediately unleashed all her light energy and bestowed it upon him. After a dazzling flash of light, the black aura completely vanished. Tyr tried to wake him, but it was useless. Then, she was surprised to find that a mark of light energy had appeared on Ian's neck. The long-awaiting little snow leopard that had once again resolved the Empire's crisis, and the light energy had successfully entered the Crown Prince's body. Not long ago, while everyone outside the spatial portal was at their wits' end, that they found a rift suddenly opening again. The black space turned back to its former blue. The nobles and soldiers who had been sucked and were spat out one by one. Seeing this, the knights immediately rushed forward. They found that everyone still showed signs of life, though they remained unconscious. Everyone was saved, except for Tyr, who hadn't come out, just as the old father was panicking. Tyr and the Crown Prince suddenly appeared in midair. She no longer had any strength left. The moment she saw her father rush forward to embrace her, her tears flowed uncontrollably. Father must be very angry, right? She had jumped into that space without considering his feelings. I am sorry, Daddy. I'll never make you worry again. After settling everything, the Emperor still hadn't left. If you still feel unwell, please be sure to tell me. The family head gave the Emperor a warning glare. Leave quickly. I still have much to say to my granddaughter. Tyr didn't understand why the two were constantly staring each other down. Rest assured, child. Soon Ian will name you the Crown Princess Consort. Then you'll be safe. These words undoubtedly dispelled the Black Panther family's doubts. Mainly, after seeing Tyr jump in to save Ian without hesitation, the Emperor felt a bit of pity. His schemes that should also come to an end. But he really wanted to know if it was Tyr who opened the portal. Since the Crown Prince was unconscious, it was ruled out that he opened it himself. However, Tyr didn't know either. Perhaps the Crown Prince opened it unconsciously. At the time, she was only focused on using her light energy to repel the darkness on the prince, which left a fish-like mark on his neck. Hearing this, the two were stunned. To confirm further, the group decided to go to the room where Ian was resting. Though it was blurry, it was certain that it really existed. Just then, Tyr's small hand reached out. The image suddenly glowed, meaning Tyr's power had left an imprint on the Crown Prince. From her perspective, the reaction of the two old men led her to mistakenly believe it was a bad sign. Soon, the awakened Crown Prince also learned of this. His level of surprise exceeded anyone else's. He knew deep down that an imprint could cause irreversible harm. The little snow leopard had been getting fatter lately. She couldn't even get out once she crawled into a hat. But compared to the Crown Prince, she was still a bit lesser. It was all the Crown Prince's fault. He sent too many snowmen, whose aura made it so Tyr didn't feel the heat. Her appetite improved, and her body began to grow rapidly. To spare his sister's feelings, Purdy claimed it was just a fur issue. However, Lu Dian, that unreasonable fellow, reached out and grabbed a handful, declaring it was meat, not fur. As soon as he said it, he was smacked by the family. Frankly, what's wrong with being a little fat? I recall how frail Tyr looked when she first arrived. Brother, being a bit fat seems cuter. So the father gave orders to keep adding to her meals. Don't leave out the snacks either. So, do you still want to eat this pie? Forget it. I'll diet tomorrow. I'll take one more bite. Learning that their sister and the Crown Prince had formed an imprint, the two decided to go kill Ian overnight. Olivier even collapsed onto the bed in a daze. Only Tyr was enjoying herself, simply because this imprint thing allowed them to share consciousness. life and death were linked together. There were more pros than cons here. Imprints were only recorded in ancient books, so it was hard to deal with now. Tyr was optimistic. After all, she had saved Ian by accident, and that was enough. The Black Panther family, however, was worried sick. Since things had come to this, they didn't want to assign blame. The urgent task was to break the imprint between the two. But a case where only one side had the imprint was rare. Everyone even thought a half imprint was more troublesome than a full one. A few days ago, Tyr had gone to see the Crown Prince. His temperament had already changed significantly. Right now, they didn't know if the imprint was a help, or a burden to him. Returning that night, the father learned of this. Although he wasn't sure what a half imprint implied, he believed the light energy would protect Tyr. Let's hope so. At this rate, Tyr will have to go to the Imperial City. Calm down. Go notify the other two little ones. Little did they know, there was no need for the family head to tell them. The two had already been eavesdropping outside the door. So when are we going to kill Ian? Olivier had fainted from crying halfway through. Grandpa let out a long breath. What's the use of saying such irrelevant things now? The priority is finding a solution. It's useless. Why are you blocking us? Lu Dian, who had rushed over, was even less able to stay calm. If the imprint can't be broken, our sister will be snatched away to be the crown princess. It's so dangerous there. What will Tyr do living there alone? If something happens, we won't be able to respond immediately. It's truly precarious, and the half imprint isn't resolved yet. If something really happens to Tyr in the Imperial City, it'll be too late by the time our Black Panther family finds out. In any case, we don't agree. It's better to just kill Ian and be done with it. It's not like that, Purdy. Your opinion is very important. Currently, you're the eldest son, and have many supporters. Becoming the next family head is a given. But if you can yield it to Tyr, then that she can at least delay going to the Imperial City until she reaches adulthood. Your father has already agreed to this. It depends on your choice. That goes without saying. For my sister, Purdy is naturally willing. In his heart, Tyr is more important than anything. But the premise is that we can't let ourselves be untied first. That's my good son. Immediately summon a family meeting. Speak to the territory and ensure a unified voice. Tomorrow, the contest with the Imperial family officially begins. Meanwhile, Tyr was secretly hiding by the door, eavesdropping on their conversation. Crown Princess Consort. Does that mean I have to marry Ian? Just thinking about it is nerve-wracking. Promoted. The little snow leopard is about to become the family head. The next day, the emperor made an announcement regarding what happened at the banquet. He claimed the crown prince was harmed by villains, leading to a suspicious rampage. Fortunately, Tyr's light power calmed it. Currently, they were making every effort to capture the culprit. He asked everyone not to panic. Additionally, for those providing clues, that the imperial family would give the greatest rewards. However, the fact that Ian was imprinted, that remained unannounced. On the other side, the Black Panther family meeting ended successfully. The father and the first in line, Purdy, renounced their status as family head to push Tyr as the next head. This way, she could delay entering the imperial family until adulthood. Tyr was dumbfounded upon hearing this news. She was only 7 years old. Don't worry, it's just a name. I will still handle the substantive matters. Your father will also fully assist you. After all, without this method, that going to the imperial family at your age would be like walking into a trap. Although Tyr also adored the crown prince, that even if she married, she wanted to stay with the Black Panther family. She still had much to learn. Only by being excellent enough could she have a say. Maybe I should stick on a beard like Grandpa. Would I look more like a family head? At this point, Tyr asked a deep question. Has the family fallen into trouble because of me? Grandpa hadn't expected a 7-year-old child to still be worrying about such things. He couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache. He immediately stood up, denying Tyr's suspicion, claiming the decision was unanimous. There's absolutely no need to worry. So, are you willing to inherit this position? After a moment of thought, Tyr readily agreed. As long as she grew up quickly, she could return the position of family head to Grandpa. At this time, the Snow Leopard family was in an uproar. Upon learning that Tyr was to inherit the Black Panther headship, the unaware maternal grandfather was speechless. The man immediately began to explain. According to imperial informants, Tyr and the Crown Prince had formed an imprint. The sudden decision to become the heir. That must be related to this, to prevent her from becoming the Crown Princess and entering the palace. One absurd idea. As the leader of all families, Tyr's promotion. That was equivalent to placing her above him. To the maternal grandfather, this was simply an insult. Suddenly, a puff of black smoke appeared and surged into the grandfather's body. After a few twitches, he quickly returned to normal. Pass it down. I do not agree to Tyr becoming the clan leader. As the leader of the leopard clan, even the emperor shouldn't think of interfering. Did you hear me? Get out and deliver the message. After the man left, the maternal grandfather suddenly burst into loud laughter. So you want to escape my grasp too? At the same time, the emperor ordered Ian not to move around lately. And especially not to let anyone see the mark on his neck. If there's any movement from the snow leopard family, I'll come and tell you. Ian couldn't let go of what had happened for a long time. Anyone could have imprinted with him, but he was afraid only Tyr wouldn't be able to handle it. He feared Tyr would die before him, like his parents. This was something he absolutely could not accept. At this moment, Tyr's every smile flashed before the crown prince. He truly hoped this beauty could continue, not end in tragedy, and certainly not become a sacrifice. He would definitely protect the little snow leopard, but a sense of fear also arose. He was afraid he would lose control. In his emotional state, Ian's tears wouldn't stop flowing. Can the two be together as they wish? What is that black smoke? What kind of actions will the possessed grandfather take? Let's wait and see. The highly anticipated second season of Baby Snow Leopard is finally here. In the last season, we mentioned that little Tyr. Finally became the family head. But danger and trials also arrived as scheduled. Ever since her grandfather was controlled by a mysterious black smoke, he took the initiative to call an urgent imperial meeting. Those so-called nobles only dared to express their opinions outside the door. Even though some people didn't care, her grandfather still stood on the ground of so-called righteousness to find excuses for his actions. He grandly claimed that no one was willing to let an illiterate person ride over their heads. But Grandpa immediately countered in his mind, and was equally relentless with his words. You hid the Empire's treasure and didn't face it properly. What right do you have to say such things? The grandfather sighed faintly. That wasn't abuse, it was discipline. Hasn't our territory also suffered losses? For the Beast Clan, the leader is chosen from whichever side is stronger. To become the leader legitimately, shouldn't Till face me in a duel? Grandpa was so enraged by maternal grandfather's shameless remarks that he began to curse. Till possesses the power of light that can save the entire Beast Clan. She is more qualified to lead the tribe than anyone else. Maternal grandfather sneered, his eyes filled with contempt. To openly disregard established rules. Do you think law and order are worth nothing at all? Grandpa raised his fist, wanting to reason with him physically, but luckily he was held back by the emperor. He then continued, actually, I've known for a long time that the crown prince has already formed a contract with Till. Yet the wedding was postponed, and that child was allowed to take the position of family head first. What exactly is Duke Astrian plotting? Grandpa was furious upon hearing this, but since things had reached this point, the emperor could no longer show favoritism toward Till. A 7-year-old child becoming the representative of the 5 great families would surely leave people unsatisfied. This meant a legitimate reason was needed so that others would no longer object. And this was exactly the answer Duke Nestian wanted. Legend says that in the land where dawn never comes, that there will be a child with the power of light who will awaken the dawn. If Till is the legendary child of light, then the truth of this legend must be proven. If Till can complete this trial, then Nestian will acknowledge everything and follow Till as the leader of the Beast Clan. To Grandpa, this sounded like a bolt from the blue. That place was somewhere even adult carnivorous beasts dare not tread. And now, a 7-year-old child was expected to go there alone. Seeing his plan succeed, maternal grandfather was full of smiles. Just then, the door to the meeting room opened. It was little Till. She already knew everything that had happened inside. She wanted to complete this task and resolve all the problems once and for all. Though Grandpa's heart ached for her, there was nothing he could do. Looking at her cold maternal grandfather, Till's small hands tightly gripped her skirt as she encouraged herself. I will not run away from any responsibility. I'm willing to go. Your Majesty, please give the order. While the Emperor was hesitant and maternal grandfather was being cynical, Till's night finally arrived. If you all intend to sacrifice a child in a political struggle as the cause of it, I cannot sit idly by. Ivile company Till. The seal means sharing a fate. It is only right that I protect my partner. The Crown Prince's firm words deeply moved Till. At this moment, he gently took Till's hand and said, my future life will continue thanks to the protection of the light. Now I follow you. If you must, face it alone. I will always be by your side. So, what challenges will the two face next? Till, in her snow leopard form, finally spoke. The first word she blurted out was sister. In the last episode, we saw Till receive her first trial as family head. It was to head to the Forbidden Zone with Crown Prince Ian to bring back the dawn. Although this journey was fraught with danger. And her father was terrified, Till felt very happy just thinking about traveling with Ian, especially since he said he would always stay by her side. This series of contrasting emotions left her father somewhat confused. But regardless, they couldn't let their guard down. It seemed necessary to have her two brothers go along. While Till was thinking of the Crown Prince, Ian was also looking at her through the window. He had only one thought in his mind. To protect his beloved Till, he had to keep her away from threats, including himself. Therefore, he had to break the seal. 3 days later, at the Duke's mansion, the brothers learned about the trial ritual. But to protect Astrian, one of them had to stay behind. Without a moment's hesitation, they said in unison, "Then I shall go." At this point, a disagreement arose. Rudian said calmly, "You are the next heir. You're the one who should stay." Ferdy replied with a smug look, "How can I entrust Till to you? Besides, if I go, I'm 100 coming back safe. So it's fine." Listening to his two brothers arguing more and more fiercely, Till didn't know who to persuade. Then their father smiled slightly. "You two discuss it among yourselves." Grandpa hadn't expected so many changes to occur during a trip to the capital just for a celebration. It seemed they needed to return to their territory as soon as possible to prepare for the northward journey. A week later, Olivia arrived at Astrian Castle. She had a wonderful chat with Till. Suddenly, she remembered the matter of the seal. Fortunately, it was one-sided and didn't affect Till. It merely made Ian into Till's subordinate. Olivia pulled little Till into her arms and said dotingly, "Our baby isn't at the age to consider marriage yet." Then, little Till spoke with an irrepressible joy. "I have something to show you." With a poof, little Till transformed into her snow leopard form. Then, she let out a tender cry, "Sister." This completely shocked the three of them. Olivia's whole demeanor changed as she impatiently asked Till to say it again. The two brothers were even more full of anticipation. Unfortunately, pronunciation was a bit difficult and she couldn't say it again. Seeing Till's struggle, Olivia unceremoniously lectured them. "Being able to do this much is already amazing. If you're jealous, you should have been born as sisters too." The brothers really took it to heart, regretting that their mother had born them as boys. Fortunately, the butler appeared just in time, and prepared snacks for everyone. Olivia keenly noticed that there were many more fur coats in the mansion, but it was clearly warm inside. The servants seemed busy preparing something, and carriages were being loaded. She then confidently concluded, "Are you all going somewhere very far and very cold?" To keep her from following, the two brothers racked their brains and forced out lies, but unexpectedly had the opposite effect, because she saw the related correspondence. It was content regarding whether one could survive in Wolfgang's legendary land. "If you two won't tell me, I'll go ask Uncle myself." Now that they couldn't hide it, the two brothers stopped struggling and obediently told her the whole truth. Hearing that they were going to a place where the sun never rises, Olivia became even more excited. She wanted to go too. Rudy encountered, "What could you even do if you went?" Meanwhile, little Till was happily eating cookies on the side, as if none of this concerned her. Ferdy also tried to stop Olivia, telling her to drop the idea of this adventure. However, the corner of Olivia's mouth curled up. A brilliant plan was already taking shape in her mind. Little Till could hear some of it, but thought it better to pretend she hadn't. So how would they protect little Till together? Let's find out in the next episode. What? Our little Till turned out to be a little snow leopard who was afraid of the heat. When she learned that her mother could freely regulate her body temperature, she instantly felt a bit inadequate. The day to head to the land of the end to awaken the dawn finally arrived. Under her brother Rudian's urging, little Till said goodbye to her mother's photo as if she were going on a long trip. Rudian asked curiously, "Aren't you taking the photo frame with you?" Till said with total sincerity, "I heard the north is very cold. Mama will be cold too, but Mama in the photo frame can't put on more clothes." That one sentence left both brothers speechless. Ferdy said, feeling a bit sweat-dropped. Actually, Mama was never bothered by heat or cold. She never felt hot in Astrian. She didn't even care about wearing short sleeves in an ice cellar. Hearing this, Till felt a bit bad. The two brothers quickly comforted her. It's normal for a snow leopard to be afraid of heat. Mama was just too special. Just then, Olivia impatiently pushed open the door. "How much longer are you going to dawdle? Everyone is waiting outside." As they were about to set off, Grandpa reluctantly reminded them, "Be sure to stay safe out there." However, in the next moment, Grandpa hugged little Till tighter and tighter. It seemed Grandpa was the most dangerous one. Till's face was squeezed red. She said in a tiny voice, "Don't worry, I will definitely return safely." At this time, Crown Prince Ian walked over slowly. "Duke, please rest assured, I will guarantee Till's safety. Until we return here, I will never let her out of my sight." After Grandpa solemnly thanked him, Ian reached out to invite Till to set off. "Let's go." Little Till was all smiles, as if she were just going on a trip somewhere a bit far away. Her luggage was full of delicious food. Her father escorted them closely the whole way. She was worried it would be too cold outside for Papa. But then she thought, Papa uses fire and isn't afraid of the cold. Was she really the only one afraid of the cold? Her father laughed. "I'll wrap the carriage in my ability. Just remember to dress warmly." Ridian said confidently, "If it's cold, I can summon flames too." His father immediately threw cold water on the idea. "Overusing your ability will cause a fire." Crown Prince Ian said unhurriedly, "Then come to my subspace. It's always at a constant, comfortable temperature." That one sentence made Olivia's hair stand on end. "Are you trying to kidnap Till again? What happened the last time?" But he didn't explain, only casually mentioning something irrelevant. About half a day passed, and unfortunately, they hadn't even reached the vicinity of the Nestian territory. Olivia kept complaining that the carriage was too slow, not even as good as her family's. "At this rate, won't we have to camp in the wild?" Ferdy was quite calm. "We'll stay in a nearby village." Little Till was napping on her brother's lap and didn't join their argument. After traveling for half a day, seeing the horses were panting. Her father had the main group rest for a while and let the children out to get some fresh air. Crown Prince Ian stood alone under a large tree. Then, a group of people walked over. 3 of them looked aggressive and invited him to a secluded spot to chat. Till was completely unaware of this. Regarding the seal ritual putting Till in danger, the Crown Prince didn't want to make many excuses. Olivia flared up again. "Is a simple apology enough? After doing such a thing, you still have the nerve to show your face in front of Till? You deserve to be in prison." But then she thought, without him, they wouldn't get the Imperial family's assistance. Fortunately, Till hadn't been marked by the seal. "Even so, I can't just forgive you as if nothing happened." The Crown Prince knew he owed Till. He lowered his posture. "Go ahead and hit me as much as you like." But that wasn't Ferdy's intention. Ridian, however, was eager to try. Then the Crown Prince said seriously, "1 punch at most. Any more would be the crime of treason." Olivia was also rubbing her fists. "Can I use my ability?" Ian calmly refused. "Not you. They are from a ducal house. You are only from a marquis house. Your status isn't high enough. If you do it, it's pure treason." The scene changed. Ian had a bite mark and 2 slap marks on his face. When her father saw the Crown Prince in this state, he was a bit confused. Then Ian said solemnly, "I should have apologized to you sooner. Regarding Till, letting someone who has already suffered so much encounter this kind of thing is entirely my fault. I'm sorry." However, her father said after a moment of silence, "I find it hard to accept your apology. Isn't your highness only 11? Why do you force yourself to be so mature? At your age, you should be full of laughter, not shouldering everything yourself. The reason adults exist is to make things easier for children. So, it's okay to show your true self occasionally. At least, you can do so here." Ian no longer hid his heart. He let his emotions out without reservation. However, a change occurred on their journey. As evening approached, they realized the road ahead had changed. It didn't match what was marked on the map. At this rate, it would be dark by the time they crossed the mountain ridge.